Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Smita and welcome back to yet another informative session on my channel Baby Doc. Today I'll be talking about bedwetting. Now this issue can be quite embarrassing both for the kids as well as parents, and it takes a lot of time to treat also. So what I'll be doing in this video is giving you a quick glimpse of what are the types and causes of bedwetting and what are the different treatment modalities. So let's have a look. To begin with, the medical term for bedwetting is known as enuresis, and the nighttime is specifically known as the nocturnal enuresis. Now, there is an entity for daytime bedwetting also, but since it's not common, we will be focusing on nocturnal enuresis in this video. So, by definition, it means the involuntary passage of urine at night in children more than 5 years of age. The usual bladder control is achieved by 2 to 4 years of age, and hence the definition mentions that it's a problem in children more than 5 years of age. Now, having said that, the treatment is not started until the child is 7 years of age because it requires a certain level of maturity and motivation by the kid themselves to stay dry. But of course, if the patient or the child has a lot of problem in their day-to-day activity because of the bedwetting, they might be considered for treatment earlier also. Now, moving on to the types of bedwetting, there are two types. One is the primary and second is secondary. Primary is responsible for 75% of the cases wherein the nighttime control was never achieved, that is, the child was never dry to begin with at night. And the second one is seen in 25% of cases wherein after a period of 6 consecutive months of dry nights, the child has started wetting the bed again. This usually has a psychological stressor underlying, that is either a near or dear one's loss or some physical abuse or trauma or some sexual abuse. And according to the symptoms, it can again be classified into monosymptomatic and non-monosymptomatic. So the monosymptomatic ones are wherein the nighttime bedwetting is the only problem, and the non-monosymptomatic ones are the one wherein along with the nighttime bedwetting, the daytime symptoms are also present, like say dribbling of the urine after the child has passed urine, or the urgency to pass urine, or hesitancy, that is even if the child wants to pass urine, the child cannot. So usually some neurological problems or urinary tract infection are the underlying causes for this. Now, since the primary monosymptomatic ones are the most common type of nocturnal enuresis, the treatment options that I'll be speaking about in this video will be pertaining to that only. Let's take a quick look at the causes of bedwetting. So there's a role of genetics in it, that is one parent was affected, there's 44% chance that the child will also be affected, and if both parents are affected, this risk increases to 77%. There are many causes of bedwetting, but I'll be highlighting only the important ones here. So of this, urinary tract infection and constipation are the very common ones, and you have to treat them before you start the therapy for bedwetting itself. Spinal cord disorders, that is where there is a problem in nerve conduction pathway of the bladder, is also an important cause, and this of course requires a specialized care approach. Diabetes mellitus and insipidus, developmental delays in your child, that is if your child is physically or intellectually development is poor, it can lead to bedwetting, and it often associated with poor bowel control also. Psychological cause I already mentioned. Sleep disorders, that is if your child is having adenoids and it's causing sleep disturbances, it can lead to bedwetting, and seizures can also lead to bedwetting. So now that we've seen the types and causes, let's have a look at the treatment options. So basically there are 3 treatment options. The first one is the counseling and the bed alarm therapy. Second is the hypnotic therapy, which is currently not used in India. And the third is the medicinal therapy. Now, it's usually seen that 75 to 95% of cases are treated with counseling and bed alarm therapy alone. So it's a very few percentage that actually require the medicines. Now, before this treatment is begun, you need to make sure that the child is not suffering from any urinary tract infections, and the underlying causes, that is constipation or any neurological problems, are taken care of. And that is why you need to consult with your pediatrician also. So the bed alarm therapy, it involves an alarm wherein electrodes are placed inside the child's undergarments, and as soon as the child's bladder is full, it sends a signal to the clock and the alarm goes off and the child wakes up. Now this type of alarm is currently not available in India, but you can start this therapy with your own bedside clock and set up an alarm. Now in younger children, you might have to go with them and to the bathroom and make them urinate, and in older kids they can be motivated themselves to put off the alarm and go to the bathroom. Now, before this therapy is begun, one thing is to be kept in mind, that the child and parent both should be motivated enough to stay dry. And hence I said that earlier that the minimum age to start this therapy is 7 years of age. So what you have to do is, first of all, restrict the fluids from 8 p.m. onwards, and preferably 2 to 3 hours before your child's bedtime. Second thing is, make them go to the bathroom and urinate just before bedtime, and approximately 3 to 4 hours after the bedtime. Now, why 3 to 4 hours is because it's usually seen that the urine is passed in these first 3-4 hours. So this can be personalized. If you feel that your child passes it earlier or later, you can set the alarm accordingly. And third thing is a reward system. Now, this is very important because it provides motivation for your child to stay dry. So whenever your child is had a dry night, you reward them with a sticker or a star, give them a small calendar, and once they have had consecutive 10 to 15 dry nights, you can reward them with a small gift. So it can be either 1 hour of extra play, or 1 hour extra TV, or some snack that they have craved for, or say extra pocket money. So nothing too big and expensive, because that sends out a wrong message. Now, when this alarm therapy and reward system is continued for a long time, what happens is that it conditions the brain, and they tend to voluntarily hold back the urine, and hence avoid the bedwetting. So usually it takes around 8 to 10 weeks of good counseled bed alarm and reward system therapy to make it successful. And still there are some percentage of children who do not stay dry even after this, and that is when they require medicinal therapy, and you need to go to your pediatrician. Now, the final and most important thing I need you all to take care of is that this is a very it's a very difficult thing for the baby itself. So please do not publicly shame them or scold them if they don't stay dry in spite of their efforts, because doing this will just worsen and prolong the process. So I hope I've covered all the points, and as I already mentioned, this is a general treatment, not a specific one. So each child might not be benefited with it, but yes, 90% of children will be benefited from this counseling therapy. But if you have any questions or queries regarding it, you can feel free to ask, and whenever in doubt, please consult your pediatrician before starting this therapy. Now, if you've liked this video and if you found it very informative, please do like and share on YouTube, and till I'm back with another informative video, take care and stay safe.